Welcome to this explainer. Now picture this for just a second. You wake up every single morning feeling calm, perfectly focused, and completely clear on exactly what needs to get done. You don't lay there in bed waiting to magically feel motivated. You don't argue with yourself about hitting the snooze button. You just take action, day after day, toward the life you actually want to build. Sounds like a total dream, right? Well, today we're unpacking a fascinating framework designed to help you achieve exactly that. It's called the Lotus Method. So, right off the bat, we have to ask, is discipline a personality trait? A lot of us look at highly successful people and just assume, they were born with this iron will. But the Lotus Method completely debunks that myth. Unshakable discipline isn't encoded in your DNA. There's no discipline gene. It is actually a system you construct. Okay, let's dive into this and see exactly how it's built. The framework contrasts two very distinct approaches to how we tackle our goals. On the left side, we have the incredibly flawed strategy of waiting for motivation. And let's be honest, motivation is a feeling that vanishes the absolute second things get hard, right? On the right side is the true goal, taking consistent action. The bridge between those two things, that's the Lotus Method. It's a remarkably simple, structured system designed to sharpen your focus and develop the kind of self-control that high performers absolutely depend on. Here's our roadmap for today. We're going to start with the myth of motivation, walk through the 4 stages of the Lotus Method. That's the roots, stem, bloom, and lasting growth. And finally wrap up with a highly practical 7-day challenge. Let's get into it. Starting off with Section 1, the myth of motivation and why sheer willpower just isn't enough to get the job done. The absolute crucial takeaway here is that discipline is a buildable system. High performers do not rely on sheer willpower, because willpower is like a battery. It eventually runs completely dry. Instead, they rely on structured systems to sharpen their focus and break stubborn habits. It's a really accessible framework that anyone can use to strategically regain self-control. So if you failed in the past, let go of that guilt. It wasn't a lack of willpower. You just didn't have the right system yet. Moving right along to Section 2. Stage 1, strong roots, creating a strong mental base. Just like a literal lotus flower, true discipline has to start deep down in the mud with incredibly strong roots. The framework offers 3 actionable micro steps to build them. Step 1, find clarity. You have to ask yourself why you want to build this discipline. If your reason is weak, your discipline's going to be weak too. You need a purpose that holds steady when things get uncomfortable. Step 2, shape your environment. Discipline is so much more about your setup than your willpower. Think about it. If your phone is sitting right next to you, you're going to check it. If junk food is sitting in the pantry, it's mysteriously disappearing by midnight, right? Make discipline easier on yourself by removing those distractions before they even test you. And finally, step 3, think small. Rather than overhauling your entire life overnight, start with tiny, manageable actions. Wake up just a few minutes earlier. Read just a couple of pages. These small actions create momentum, and that momentum is what builds lasting discipline. All right, moving up from the mud, we hit Stage 2, the stem, training self-control. Think about the stem of a lotus for a second. It keeps the flower standing tall and reaching upward even when it's surrounded by murky, dirty water. This stage is all about training yourself to act regardless of your surroundings or how you feel. And to do this, the framework introduces this incredibly powerful tool, the 5-second countdown. Whenever you feel yourself hesitating, whether you're dreading getting out of bed, putting off a big project, or avoiding a tough conversation, you literally just count backward. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then you move. That brief, simple countdown instantly short-circuits that loop of overthinking in your brain and actively forces you into motion. It's a total game changer. The core battle of self-control is essentially a daily set of scales. On one side, you've got instant rewards, giving in to comfort. On the other side, delayed gratification, which is what actually leads to real progress. Every single time you choose comfort, your brain learns to chase those quick hits, those instant rewards. But every time you pause, wait, and resist that urge, your discipline muscle grows. It means actively choosing to delay checking your phone or delaying giving in to a sudden craving. The more you consciously practice waiting, the stronger your self-control gets. You are quite literally rewiring your brain for success here. And that steady stem supports our next phase, Stage 3, the bloom, developing deep focus. We've officially made it out of the muddy water and up to the surface. Once your self-control is firmly in place, the lotus is ready to bloom. This stage is all about locking in your focus and learning to work completely free of distractions. To achieve this deep focus, the source highlights a definitive technique, time blocking. This means strictly scheduling specific periods to work without any interruption, prioritizing true presence over simply grinding away for longer hours. Instead of working randomly all day long, you set a specific block of time, and during that designated time, you silence all notifications. You physically put your phone in another room. You commit 100% to the task in front of you. Deep focus isn't about the sheer volume of hours you work. It is about working without a single interruption. That is when you truly bloom. Which brings us to stage 4, lasting growth, making discipline stick. So a lotus doesn't just bloom once and then immediately die, right? It continues to thrive and grow. This final stage is all about taking these tools and turning them into an ongoing lifestyle. The framework lays out 3 crucial tactics to do exactly that. First, track your daily behavior. Actually, write down what you did each day and assess how well you stayed disciplined. As the saying goes, what gets measured gets managed. Second, reset immediately after a slip-up. The framework acknowledges that, hey, slip-ups are going to happen. You're human. The key is resetting right then and there. And that leads to the golden rule, the third point. Avoid 2 bad days in a row. 1 bad day genuinely doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things, but 2 bad days in a row, that is the exact moment where habits start to break. Prevent that second day and your discipline survives. This brings us to probably the most profound psychological shift in the entire methodology. Most people say things like, I'm trying to be disciplined, or I'm working on my discipline. But the framework suggests adopting the identity entirely. You say, I am disciplined, period. When you genuinely make that shift in your head, your actions naturally follow to protect that identity. You no longer act like someone trying to change, you act like someone who already has. All right, let's bring it all together with our final section, the 7-day challenge, putting the Lotus Method into practice. The framework culminates in a really practical exercise, the 7-day challenge. Here are the exact rules to put this to work in your own life. First, choose just one specific habit you want to improve. Don't pick 10, pick 1. Maybe it's waking up 30 minutes earlier, reading daily, or exercising consistently. Second, apply the entire framework we just discussed: roots, stem, bloom, and thrive. Find your why. Clear out your distractions. Use that 5-second countdown to take action. Time block your focus, and absolutely do not allow 2 bad days in a row. Finally, track your progress for the next 7 days. Just 1 week. Committing to this for a single week offers a fascinating way to watch how quickly your discipline can actually strengthen. Which brings us to the final, most important question. What habit are you committing to today? Seriously, down in the comments, tell us the exact habit you are choosing to test this framework on. Remember, this method shows us once and for all that discipline isn't some rare gift you're born with. It's a completely buildable system. Thanks for joining me on this explainer. Start building those roots today, and I'll see you next time.